Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show. Because I do a radio show, I get a lot of emails, press releases and stuff. And I usually just delete. And the press release for your book was the first one that I got this year.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to say yes.
Love it.
Right. And so I said yes. I think it's taken 3 or 4 months to get you here from then. So thanks for coming.
Well, thanks for saying yes.
Yeah. But then it was like the press release was so well done because it was like bankruptcy, NBA business or something. And then it was like, health and exercise. I was like, I definitely, all this fits into whatever this podcast is. So how do you go bankrupt at 21, 22, you're bankrupt, 25?
So I was 24. And at this point in my life, I had started a healthy fast food restaurant chain. And I was really passionate about health and fitness. I still am. And I was a junior going into my senior year in college. Mm-hmm. And I sat down, I said, I'm not going any further here until I figure out what I want to do after I graduate college. And I sat down and I read books and I really kind of studied myself. And I had this, what I call a life switch moment, just a spark of clarity, urgency, and energy to say, hey, you need to open up a healthy fast food restaurant. And I was like, that's it, boom. Did a little research, realized there was nothing really quite like that. And so I ended up pursuing that and opening up 3 stores. I had a small chain in Philadelphia. Fast forward to when I'm 24, everything went up in flames. I mean, it was a complete disaster, worse than I could even describe. I mean, I was, in today's dollars, close to $800,000 in debt, mentally a complete wreck because everything for the past several years up to that point, everything I touched was kind of turning to gold. I was having success and building up momentum. And then I was just convinced that you can do anything you want to do, that anything is possible. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this like the next McDonald's or KFC or whatever it is. I really thought I was going to do that and believed it 100%. And when I had to take the blinders off and realize, okay, I can't go any further with this, I looked around and there was just carnage everywhere. I mean, I was like, what did I do? What happened? How do I get out of this mess? And it left me in a catatonic state where I owed this kind of money. I had no more employees. I was winding down a business, selling the equipment. People were ripping me off for some of the equipment that they were getting for pennies on the dollar. And I was having to face either bankruptcy or find a way to pay this debt down.
But why wasn't it successful? I mean, I know it would be now, right? Because they're popping up all over the place now. So what was the name of the restaurant?
It was called Thinker's Grill.
Thinker's Grill.
Like you think about what you eat.
Yeah.
And it was very well received. We had a ton of publicity. We had people come out from news teams all the time. We were selling Starbucks coffee. We were an early provider of Starbucks.
Wow.
We had like a contract with them.
Well, like what are some items on the menu?
Grilled salmon burger, baked steak fries. Mm-hmm. They were like really thick in a convection oven, and they had like 2 grams of fat. No oil, none of that stuff. We did cold smoothies, and I created hot smoothies, which were oatmeal based. And so we'd have like blueberry muffin, upside down pineapple cake, stuff like that.
So why did it not succeed? I mean, it did succeed enough for you to have 3 locations.
It succeeded enough to grow. I wasn't focused on profit and getting in the black because I know that I knew I was going to be in the red for a while, as most businesses are. Uh-huh. And so I wasn't looking at that. I was looking at the number of units as the goal. So I picked something to focus on. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, I'm going to open up as many stores as I can. So I got the flagship open. People kept saying, is this a franchise? And that's what I wanted them to say and wanted them to think because I wanted it to be that. And I started opening up satellite stores in gyms and places like that. But the foundation was so shaky. I was just spending so much money. And I think part of the problem was I just had really high uncontrollable overhead. I had 16 to 18 kids I was paying. I had a very expensive downtown lease for the flagship store. And I really made this restaurant look amazing. And I paid for it. Literally, I paid for it. And so the overhead, I just couldn't make enough money selling salmon burgers and fries to really make a dent. And even when we had some really good sales days and sales months, I could see that it just wasn't enough. And so that was a bit of a head scratcher. So I would say that one of the main reasons it failed was I overinvested. The concept was great, but sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. Like I heard about some restaurant, they serve cereal and you can play video games and it's a huge success. And it sounds ridiculous to me,
Right.
but it's working.
Right.
Other times you see a fantastic restaurant, and it just doesn't make it for some reason, or any other store.
Well, when you started your first restaurant, did you get advice? Like, are your parents, did you go to them for help? Did they give you advice? Like, what did your parents do growing up?
Yeah, well, it was just my mom who raised me. So single
really?
parent, and she was very supportive and things like that, but she didn't have any restaurant experience, and she had a financial business at the time. And so she was like, I support you, but I don't.
But were you exercising every day? Like you were into health and fitness. And you're like, I need to find a need. I'm trying to eat healthy. I can't find a healthy place to eat.
Right.
I'm going to open up my own place.
Right. So fast food titans were the enemy. They were dirt cheap. You feed your whole family for $5, and every corner has 3 or 4 options. So it was too easy to eat unhealthy. And really, it's like people poisoning themselves, every meal 3 times a day. And it drove me crazy, still drives me crazy. And so I thought, let me come up with a solution. They always say, if you have a problem, don't just complain about it, do something about it. So I was doing something about it, but it just didn't work. And an interesting thing is I wanted to open it up on the West Coast because I felt people were more health conscious. California, Texas, even here. But my wife was a year younger, my future wife at that time. And I didn't want to pick up and leave New Jersey to come across the country. So I thought, okay, let me just start it out here because my goal is for it to be nationwide. I'll just start on this side of the country and work my way out that way.
So you're dating her and then you got to file for bankruptcy?
Yeah. Now, I never filed. It was close. But my toes were dangling in it. And maybe worse than that for her was when I graduated from college, everybody asked, hey, what's Joel doing with his life? He seems really entrepreneurial. What's he doing? And ultimately, she had to tell everybody that I took a job at Burger King out of college. I took a job at the management trainee program. And I would get up at 4:30 and I would open up the drive-thru. My friends were stumbling and drunk from the night before. And I'm going to work at Burger King. And
in hopes to probably own your own Burger King.
No. Just to get the restaurant experience. So I'm like the wolf in the sheep's den. I'm like undercover. I'm thinking I'm going to put you guys out of business. I'm going to come in. I'm going to blow you guys away. But I worked there because they had a great system. They knew what they were doing. They were fast. I ended up buying almost all the exact same equipment that they had too. Like the broiler that they use, like that's what I put the salmon burgers through, and the grilled chicken and the meatballs and all that kind of stuff. So I worked there for 2.5 months, kind of got a graduate from BKU, graduate degree. And once I learned everything I felt I needed to learn to be able to open up my own store, that's when I quit or graduated. And then I actually started to really move along with the actual location and everything else, the equipment, the specs, the ingredients, the recipes, all that.
So have you heard of the restaurant chain here called Protein House?
No.
Oh my God, Protein House is your restaurant.
Okay.
You got there's like 3 of them here in town.
I'll check it out.
It's fantastic. It's the salmon burgers. It is smoothies. It is buffalo. They got buffalo bowls, and they got I love this, but it's so healthy.
I love it.
Cauliflower rice if you want, or real rice if you want.
That's great.
They have all the pink salt on the Himalayan salt.
Yeah.
So you're definitely. I mean, I look at you. You're extremely healthy. You're in great shape. What is your? Do you work out every day? What is your mantra, or what is your? How do you work out?
Yeah,
what is it?
Thank you. I work out 6 to 7 days a week, depending on the schedule. I just like checking off that box every day. It makes me feel more energetic. I just find when you get something done first thing in the morning, it just puts you on a positive trajectory to get other things done. And literally the chemicals that are released are very positive in your life. So I do it because I enjoy the way it makes me feel. And I'm always trying to get better at whatever I'm doing. So even though I'm getting a little older, I still think I can continue to get in better shape, work on 1 or 2 different areas over time. So it's a little bit of a game to me. But whatever it is, I'm mixing it up. Sometimes it's whatever's not sore, I'll work out. And then eating to support that for muscle growth and healthy fats and all that.
Like,
other stuff.
you like this morning? Did you work out this morning?
I did.
And is it an hour workout, half hour workout?
This morning was about 40 minutes. That's the other thing. I do it frequently, but I really condense it down. So when I work out, it's usually 30 to 45 minutes. You know how people do like the HIIT training?
Yeah.
For me, we get up and then we stay up. Like I don't stop to change the song. I don't ever go stop for a water break. Like if I put my phone on 30 minutes and actually have it count down, not up, I feel like I got to get this in. I feel like I'm running out of time. So every second matters, which is why it drives me crazy when someone's sitting on the equipment, looking at their phone, watching videos.
Wow, that's a really different take on the exercise.
Yeah. So, and everyone's different too, by the way. So some people like to fast, intermittent fasting.
You don't do that?
I don't think that works for me. Some people swear by it, but I've always believed, I would tell people this, I think the best way to get in the best shape As far as a diet kind of idea, it's a small meal every 2 or 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
This was something that was popular for a period of time, and most people aren't doing that anymore. But I think it keeps your metabolism spiked. And so it's almost like putting a small log in a furnace. It just incinerates it. So anytime you put something in your body, it just burns it, and then you'll start to burn off that stored fat that you might have. So that works for me and other people.
Are you into the sauna, cold plunge, all that stuff, or you just lift weights and diet and sleep?
No, I'm always trying to do all kinds of stuff. I will tell you that the one thing I don't like is the cold plunge. I find that to be one step above torture. Or pretty much right in line with that. Right. I like the sauna. Sweating is not a big deal. It was like being in a sauna on the ride over here today.
What about cardio?
Cardio, I love to do that.
Is that part of your workout though?
I like to run. So I'll do cardio 2-3 days a week. I'll do Stairmaster, Pre-Core. We have 3 pieces of cardio in the basement at the house of the gym. And I'm a member of 2 different gyms. So I'll try to mix it up, keep it fresh. Because a lot of us, we don't like to do the same thing. It gets monotonous, gets boring. So I have 2 different gyms in the basement. If there's something good to watch on TV, you don't even realize you're working out sometimes.
True. Are you aware of your VO2 max?
No.
Oh, you're not? Oh.
I've heard of that, and I'm just going to work my butt off.
No. I mean, what about your blood work and stuff? Are you up to date on that? How you doing?
Yeah.
And it's clean. It's good.
Everything's been good.
Fascinating.
I mean, you never know, but my doctor just takes the height and the weight and the BMI stuff and all that, and I'm always trying to get in better shape, not in a neurotic way, but I just always think that I could still.
Do you know what your body fat is?
Right now, I don't know, probably like 7 or 8, something like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but I one time had it at 5.5.
Jeez.
So it's like, to me, it's like, can I get back?
Did you compete in these bodybuilding shows?
No.
I was down to 12%. Up until and then I don't, it was like 3-4 months ago, and I was so excited. I mean, I had it for a year, and then I went to Hawaii, went on the whatever, and I was up 17%. I was like, it's such hard work to get back down there again. So a life switch. Tell me about the book. Like, how do you go from almost filing bankruptcy to owning part of an NBA franchise?
Yeah, well, it was not that was not that step to that next step. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, what happened was, the short story is, one business failed, and the restaurant industry has a 90% failure rate. So that wasn't, I guess, a major surprise, although I wasn't thinking that way.
Right.
So when that happened, and I owed all this money, I needed $7,000 a month back in 2004 just to pay my bills. My future wife was working at a bank. She was the breadwinner. She was making $37,000 a year. She was like my sugar mama. And so I realized that I need to do something, right? I'm not going to have a massive heart attack and die, even though I thought I might. I was too young and healthy. So God wasn't taking me away. So I'm like, I've got, life goes on. And so I realized I've got to find a job where I can make enough money to not claim bankruptcy. And at this point, I still had, my resume was Burger King and a restaurant for 1.5 years or so. Wasn't that impressive. And if I got a job making $50,000, which was more than any of my friends were making, I'd have to claim bankruptcy because it wasn't enough. So then I realized, okay, financial services, it's commission-based. You start at 0 every day and every month. And I thought, well, that's great. You start at 0? Because I'm used to starting at minus $20,000. With the restaurant every month, I was just bleeding money. Here, I was just starting at 0. And so I looked at it like there was only one way to go, and that was up. And it was dependent on me, not 16 kids, not 3 locations, not a landlord who didn't take care of the building. It was me to put my future and everything on my shoulders and work 7 days a week as much as I could.
Selling what?
Selling investments, insurance, anything that I was licensed to sell. And so I would just call people and tell them what I did and why I did it, and would offer those kind of solutions. And most people would say no. But eventually some people would say yes. It was a numbers game.
And when you got a yes, what kind of money was that? Like when you got
It wasn't a lot.
It wasn't
a lot. But any money was money, right? So if it was $700, $1,500, it was like small change hitting the bottom of a recently emptied vending machine.
Right.
It was like, okay, but there's money coming in. Let's just keep going one foot in front of the other. And then I started to build a business. But I saw that it was possible to have success in financial services because there was no ceiling, and that floor was 0. So it was all very appealing to me coming out of a failing situation. And interestingly, that industry has a 90% failure rate too. But all I focused on was, I have a 0% chance of success right now with this failed restaurant, and I have a 10% chance of success in financial services. And at that point, I liked my odds.
So it saved you from bankruptcy.
It totally saved me. The first month I made enough to pay the bills.
Wow.
And that just showed me that this is possible.
Right.
And it was really difficult, not just the work, and sort of like I almost was telling people I own a restaurant chain. I was like, wait, nope, that's old news. Like you're a financial advisor now, you're a financial planner. And I had a lot of grief I was carrying because the restaurant was like my baby. I mean, I started it as a college project and, had it for 3 or so years, maybe 4 years. When it was dead, it was like a pretty good chunk of my life at that time, was everything.
Right.
And so I'm like out there selling insurance and investments, but I'm really having this loss that I need to address at some point. So I finally addressed that, kind of got all the emotion out.
Like therapy, you mean?
Therapy, yeah. I actually went to a group therapy session, and the problem was everyone there was on drugs, alcohol, all kinds of bad things. And I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, I just made like 8,000 last month. And I want to say that I need to make more money. And I'm like, this is not the group to share this with.
Right.
So I realized talking with your friend earlier that I just need to hold up a mirror, and everything I know I need to do, I can just tell myself, you need to go work your butt off and don't stop until you're exhausted. Like Dave Goggins said, don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done.
Yeah.
And so when I would call people till 5 o'clock. I'd go to the local Starbucks, get another coffee, start calling people for a while. Then I would start calling people on the West Coast because it was 3 hours earlier. And I would do this 6-7 days a week just because it was everything I could control. I couldn't control what they said, but I could control my output, my energy.
But when you're calling people, who are these people? You're just cold calling people random from a book that you guys have at the company? Like who?
So you have friends and family, then you've got different connections, first, second, like LinkedIn.
So you're literally doing it that way.
Yeah,
You're just going.
Calling anybody I can, asking for referrals and then calling them.
But making $8,000 a month, I know you owed a lot of money, but that's a hell of a lot of money right away.
It was great. And it was that first month, but then it started to trail off.
Okay.
But it just showed me that it's possible to make enough money. And that was all I needed to see. But yeah, it was great. But I mean, I really worked like crazy. And that made it more difficult to deal with the grieving because I was exhausted. I was working 7 days a week, just blind. Like I don't remember almost anything about that time. I'd stop watching basketball. I'd stop hanging out with friends. I did not watch TV. I mean, I shut off myself from everything in the world except work, work. Mm-hmm. And my wife was working at a 7-day bank. So that was okay. So I just kind of, blacked out and just went to work. And then ultimately, like I said, when I built the business, it was, okay, how do I do this in a sustainable way? Because this isn't really sustainable.
Because then you had to start your own, make it your own, right? You had to like break away from whoever you're working for to make your own company.
Yeah. Yep.
And that worked.
Yeah. It created a business that was still financial. And then I just continued to build and grow and offer more comprehensive planning. So I wasn't selling anymore.
Right.
Like the first couple of years,
you got all these people. How many did you still do that? You still have the company?
I still have the business.
And how many employees would you have now?
Now I've got 4 people. Yeah. So 3 full-timers, 1 part-time. And it's a mature business now where it's great. We take care of the people that are there. Some of them have been there from day one, but it's very different. I'm very much an anti-sales guy. If people need something or there's a need that they don't realize that's a concern, we'll bring it up. But so many people in this industry are very salesy, and they there's no loyalty. They don't care. They just want to sell. They want to generate commission. And that's not what we do. We try to help people.
Do you still have any of your original clients?
Yeah, not a ton, but still have some. And
so how do you go from there to an NBA team?
So as I had success in the business, right, about halfway through my career, so between years 10 and 12, my success was going up, my income was going up, everything was great from the outside, but my level of fulfillment was going down at a pretty alarming rate. I just was not excited to get out of bed. I felt like a lot of clients, I wasn't really utilizing my potential. I wasn't really maximizing myself. It was kind of easy and it was great, right? I wasn't complaining, but I just felt like, it just isn't it. And so I thought, okay, what am I passionate about? So I went back to the drawing board, really did a lot of soul searching and thought, what do I miss? What am I good at? And I was like, hey, sports. I love sports. I love the best of the best, right? Always trying to get better. And so I thought, well, let me see if there's any NBA teams I can get involved with. And the Sixers at the time were absolutely horrific. This was a time where they were tanking on purpose and everybody knew it. They were losing games. If a guy was good, like if they had a surprise draft pick or free agent, they're like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you got to go. You're too good. And so they were just getting rid of everybody. In fact, there's so many players around the league that used to be Sixers that are like all-stars after the fact. But they were so bad, they couldn't get people in the seats. They had 2-for-1 specials. So I said, hey, what about a local business guy owning part of the team and kind of mixing it up and spicing up that perspective in the media? And they thought, well, sure, here's how much it costs. And I said, okay, never mind, I can't afford that. But they said, but there's the G League team. And I said, well, okay, I can afford that. And I was about to join them, but then they brought in a new management committee and they said, we're just going to shut down everything from the outside, go in a different direction. And they did. Anyway, fast forward, I found this team here, which is affiliated with the Nuggets, the Grand Rapids Gold. And they said, hey, we'd love to have you. And we'd love to have any kind of involvement that you want to put into it. And so they don't need my help, but they were happy to have me on and not just send the check, but if I had a good idea, whether it was marketing on the court or off the court, they said, hey, we're open to that. So that's what I was looking for, a way to be involved, not just invest my money in the S&P, but be able to sort of play with my money, have some fun with it.
How long has it been?
It's been 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that movie with Will Ferrell, right?
Semi-pro,
right?
right?
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. So now, like that ring you have, is that from the Nuggets?
Yeah, this is the Nuggets ring.
Is it so they win the championship, and because you're part of the G League?
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the play? Like, I'll tell you real quick. So a friend of mine, his son was a superstar high school athlete, went to Marquette, just got his jersey retired like a few weeks ago from Marquette. And he went and played for the Nuggets, and they barely played him. And I think he might have went to the G League. His name was Marcus Howard. Do you remember Marcus Howard? It's within the last 5 years.
No.
He was like 5'9".
Really? Wow.
Yeah, but now he plays overseas and is a superstar overseas.
Oh, good for him.
But so that's what happens. So because you're part of the owner of the G League, the Nuggets win.
Yeah.
And you go to the ring ceremony, you get to do all that stuff?
I didn't do all that stuff because I'm all the way in New Jersey. I've got a million other things going on. But I was able to be part of it, and ultimately they shipped the ring to me. So
that's so freaking cool.
So I'm sitting there one day and I get this box.
Oh, like you didn't know?
I did know. So what happened was the year before, the majority owner of our team, the Grand Rapids Gold, we were watching the playoffs, and the Nuggets, you could tell they were just like on borrowed time. They didn't have Murray and things like that.
I was with Jamal Murray's dad yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry.
But so we knew they weren't going to win that year, and he goes, "Hey, just so you know, if the Nuggets win, we get championship rings." And I was like, "Really?" Because I didn't think about that when I signed on. I just was happy to be part of a team, and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." And then the next year, Jokic had become who he is. He was like the guy. Because before that, Murray was the guy.
Yeah.
Then it was like, "Whoa, this guy is insane." And so, I didn't want to ask the question like, hey, were you serious that we get rings? So they won, and I kind of waited a little bit that summer. And I was like, hey, were you serious about this? So nervous he's going to say, no, man, I'm just messing with you.
Right.
But he goes, yeah. I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is amazing. So anyway, so they ship it to my house. I open it up, and it's got like the box lights up, and the ring's just spinning around.
Wow.
And it's got my name on it. And it just blew my mind. And actually, I went back, because this happened right before the book was done, and actually created a prologue about that moment.
Because, oh, that's cool.
Because the ring is the only real tangible thing about me that shows one of my key messages, and that's anything is possible.
Yeah, that's amazing when you think about it, right? I mean, you open up a health food restaurant, it tanks.
It fails.
And now
I become a financial advisor, right? The very boring, seemingly boring profession. Getting involved with the G League to having an NBA championship ring. So that's why I wear it. That's why I talk about it. Not look at my ring, but I want people to know that anything is possible. So whatever goal you set, realize that you can accomplish that or even something better.
Is that something that you teach your son? You remind your son, check this out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I said, if nothing else with this book, if my 2 kids read the book, then I'm happy. And so my son was the first one to read it because he's a readaholic. But he has not experienced real failure and real stress yet. So I think he doesn't fully understand some of it. But people that have been through some kind of a difficult situation, they get it. And that's what
so
it's about.
what in your book, Life Switch, is it your whole story?
Yeah. It's the whole story of my life, but it's done in a way to get people to look at their own life. It's almost like looking in the mirror. And people are saying that that's what it's doing. It's getting them to think about their own life. It's not like people don't know who I am for the most part. But do they know who they are? And that's what the book's about, is getting them to figure out who they are. And I say everyone is pre-wired for success, everybody. But a lot of people are missing the power source. And that missing power source is learning how you're wired. So like this room, like there's lights on. If you hit the switch, lights go off, it's dark, you can't see. Flip the switch on, everything's crystal clear. And so that's the life switch everyone has in their brain. You flip it on, you have clarity, you have energy, of urgency for whatever it is that makes you tick, that lights you up. And everyone's wired differently. Like me and you share some commonality with loving basketball, loving our spouses, our families. Other people are single, never been married, don't have any interest, but they can love life too, just in different ways.
Is your mother still around?
Yeah.
What does she think about your book and your success? She must be
my biggest
beside
fan.
herself.
Yeah, she's read it twice. She listened to the audiobook. She tells everyone, typical like what any mom would do. But, I appreciate more when a complete stranger sends me a really nice note about the book. Like one lady reached out and she said, I had to call out of work because I was listening to the audiobook and I couldn't stop. And I just couldn't go to work because I wanted to know what happened.
Are you reading? Is it you that read the audiobook?
Yeah, I did the whole thing. And it was a lot of work, but it was actually really fun. It was like the actors that do the voiceovers for cartoons and things like that. That's what it felt like. And I actually really enjoyed it. I wouldn't want to do it again, but I did enjoy the process.
Did you go to a studio somewhere and with the microphones like this and that's how you had to do it?
They shipped everything to my house.
Wow.
So they sent me top-notch equipment, and this was last July, and they said, you've got to shut off the air conditioning. You've got to make sure there's no noise. So I would literally run out of the house sometimes to the guy who was cutting the lawn across the street and be like, get out of here. Probably looked crazy. If there was a cat meow, trash day, I had to stop. Airplane going overhead.
Did they ever send back to you, hey, we need to cut this page over again. There's too much noise in the background.
Well, at the end, they would let me know.
Is this the publisher?
This was a company that they bought in to do this. And they were great. There was one guy I think he was in like Indonesia. The other guy was in England. But it was like they were in the booth with me. And so I'm sweating like crazy because there's no air conditioning. But it felt like really cool to be doing it. And they were pros. And at the end, we had to do 1 day of retakes, but it wasn't that bad. But it was 26 hours of recording to get down to the 8 hours that the book is.
Wow.
Which isn't, I guess it's not terrible.
Wow, that sounds like a lot to me.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so where can you get the book? At Life Switch?
You can get it on Amazon. That's where people most commonly get it because it has the ebook, the audiobook, and the hardcover. You can get it at certain Barnes & Nobles as well.
How long are you in town for?
Just a few days.
Are you for a few days though?
Yeah,
so you're going to
leaving on Wednesday.
So have you met being at the G League? Like who are some players that have gone down from the Nuggets to the G League and back up again? Are there?
Well, there's a lot of guys that were with us that are now in the NBA. So Colin Gillespie.
Oh, he's Phoenix
starting
Suns.
with the Suns.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, he came down to us from the Nuggets. And he was a floor general. Anytime he would play, I feel like we won every time. He just was really good. He didn't have that big stature, so I think that was the question. Could he play defense? Was he tall enough? But he just helped us win. And I was like, why don't the Nuggets use him more? Ends up going to the Suns on the G League team, gets in a little bit, and all of a sudden then he's starting. And he's doing a phenomenal job.
When you're on a G League team, what city is it again?
Grand Rapids, Michigan.
So are they... In Grand Rapids, are they put up in an apartment? Are they roommates? Like, how minor leagues, like, right. Is it like that? Or are they living on their $7 million salary?
No, they have a really nice apartment complex that the team has for them. So, they're renting that for them so they don't have to pay for that. And, whenever the visiting team is in town, we have to pay for their costs. But if we're visiting another team, that team pays the cost.
Oh, right.
So it's an interesting structure, but they have a nice setup. So, I think they're pretty happy with it.
Do you go there a lot? Do you go to a lot of games?
I don't go to a ton of games in Grand Rapids.
Right.
I'll go to maybe 2 a year, try to go to the home opener and sometimes the finale. But what I do is I go to the games that are more in the Northeast. Mm-hmm. So if they're in Long Island, Westchester, Delaware, sometimes Maine.
Do they have a following?
Yeah, they don't have a ton of people on the road.
Right.
Usually don't see too many. But at home, like we had the best attendance in the league for almost the whole season.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if we kept that. The season's just about done. There's one more game. But the arena holds about 12,000 people. And we've had a lot of games with 5,000, 7,000 people in there and a handful of sellouts as well.
That's fantastic.
It's not common. A lot of games you watch on TV, like G League TV or ESPN2 sometimes, you look around and I kind of cringe because it's like, where's everybody at? It looks like COVID days. But like I support not just my team, but the entire G League. So I want to help the G League get on the map because when you think about it, like when I had the restaurant at 24, 25, my back was up against the wall. I didn't know if I was going to have any success or not. And it reminds me of a lot of these guys. They're 24, they're 25. They don't know if they're going to make $40,000 or $50,000 a year for a bunch of years and go get a regular job, or if they're going to get called up and just like that start making a couple $1 million a year.
Mhm.
We have a guy on the Nuggets now, Spencer Jones. He was on our team. He was a 2A, and he was supposed to be our main guy this year. He never made it because the Nuggets got decimated with injuries. They called him up and they used him quite a bit, and they started him in the starting lineup. So they just signed him to a standard contract. So he's like,
So it's
good.
like you're happy for him, but you're like, damn.
Yeah, I'm
Right?
like, damn you. But hey,
Yeah,
congratulations.
right. So as an investor in the G League, it's more like for like you're not looking at a payout, you're not making money being a part of the G League, are you?
Not on a regular basis,
Right.
no. But
Every once in a while,
it's
maybe
like a lot of teams. You have a loss, but the goal is for the appreciation.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping that we're going to get that, especially when these two new teams come out soon, Seattle and Vegas.
Mhm.
Apparently, they're going to be going for $8 to $10 billion.
Yeah, I know.
And the G League is going to be a part of that.
But they're not connected, huh? Like if you're the owner of the Nuggets, you're not the owner of the G League team.
Most teams, the parent club owns the G League franchise.
That's what I thought.
But there's a few, including our team, that is not that way. It's kind of a hybrid structure.
Wow.
And then there's other ones like Mexico City. I don't even know who owns that, but
Right.
that's not an NBA.
What about Canada? Are you familiar with the Canadian Basketball League?
Well, yeah. I don't follow them, but I don't. Are people still into that as much?
Yeah, there's a team that the Winnipeg Sea Bears,
Okay.
and they're a new team, and they freaking sell out crazy.
Good for them.
Yeah, I have one of their sweatshirts.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really interesting because
Yeah.
it's freezing, and
Sure.
everyone wants to go to a basketball game.
That's great.
Yeah, plus there's so many Canadians now that are famous basketball players, right?
It's true.
Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, Shea Gilgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
people. Like that's why I was excited about the All-Star game this year because it was U.S. versus the world. And even the Olympics. I mean, Canada is coming for the
Yeah,
U.S.
they
So
are.
is France.
Yeah, they are.
It's awesome, the competition.
Hey man, well, thanks for jumping on my podcast, man. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I'm really glad you rearranged your life to do this because I was really grateful. I was so stressed a few weeks ago when, what do you mean my son's going to play? Anyway, thank you so much. So the book, Life Switch, is on Amazon.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Very cool.
It's awesome.
Okay, so welcome to our podcast. This is a little bit different today because this podcast is a spin-off of our radio show.